Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdicus Dave, and today I'm joined by the Digital Dungeon Master, Dave. Dave, do you go by Dave or David?
I've answered to a lot worse, Dave, so you can just call me Dave, David, whatever. I'll answer to it.
Dave Middleton, David Middleton. I'm the same way. It's like I guess I introduce myself as Dave, but like I don't actually care which one other people use.
I've done the same. Sometimes I'll say Dave, or
Yeah.
sometimes I'll say DDM or David, but yeah, I've answered to a lot worse, especially in emails, when you say you're taking a break from D&D 5e for a couple of years, the hate mail comes in. So
The hate mail over taking a break. That's weird. That's so bizarre. Like there's
yeah,
so many great role playing games out there, and there's not really enough time to play them all. And also like I am kind of the mindset that like if I'm gonna play fantasy, I'm probably gonna play D&D.
yeah,
If I'm gonna play another genre, like I don't want to play D&D, I want to play something completely different. I don't care who made what hack for what. Like I just
yeah.
rather move into a different type of game and play that. And that and then like there's the next tier is like who's asking me to play, who's playing, because to me like that kind of almost like supersedes everything. And to me,
Yeah.
like the group of people is far more important than what we actually do. Because if it's people that you want to have hang out with and they're your friends, you're going to have a good
Got to be on the
time.
same page. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not going to matter if you're playing Pathfinder, D&D, Cipher System, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I think it only
I'm
really
like you
matters.
though.
What's that?
I'm like you. I do D20
Uh,
primarily for fantasy, but if I want to play anything else, zombie apocalypse, modern, sci-fi, usually sci-fi is Starfinder, but I'm all about Savage Worlds too. So I
I
love
have not
Savage Worlds.
actually played any Savage Worlds yet. It's like
Ooh,
I've had many a discussion in chat with Clint Black, but I've yet to actually play any Savage Worlds. Like I spend at least a good hour talking to Clint at almost every single convention I go to. He's just a good dude. Um,
yeah.
and he's big into Savage Worlds and works over there as well as making gaming tables. So for people that don't know what the Digital Dungeon Master is, give us the elevator pitch.
That's right. That's right. I'm the Digital Dungeon Master, and put in my radio voice for you. But yeah, I started streaming and D&D. I've been playing since the middle '80s. My parents got jobs out at NASA when the space shuttle program was starting up in the late '70s. So the area that we moved to, there were no school system. I mean, the infrastructure was being built for the influx of NASA employees. And so I was moved around every year to a new school.
Hold on
Sometimes,
1 second.
yeah,
So your parents were rocket scientists?
my dad was, my mother also worked at NASA too, but she worked more in the logistics
Yeah.
side of things. And
Are
so, yeah,
you
I,
are you a great disappointment to them because you're not also a rocket scientist?
no, you know what? Actually, my father, he wanted me to go into the service because my father was, retired Navy, and so he expected me to do it as well. Got me into ROTC, taught me everything about the Navy and seamanship and everything, and then the disappointment happened. But yes, it did happen because I did get removed from school, and because ironically I played D&D too much,
Yeah.
and we skipped every day, and I decided to go back for my senior year, and they said, well, we removed you 6 months ago. So I hid it from my parents from a little while, but I eventually got kicked out, and you know my
You're a
dad
rebel,
handed
a
me
D&D rebel.
yeah, but I didn't play D&D for a couple of years after that because I was thrust into life itself at 15 years old.
Yeah.
So I just jumped on a Greyhound bus and moved to Daytona Beach, Florida, and that's yeah.
If you're going to be
That was
homeless,
it.
you might as well go someplace warm.
I was homeless the first night when I got off that bus, Dave. I went and slept down on the under the pier, and yeah, I saw a couple people making out into their, 15 years old. I never saw anything like that before. And all of a sudden, this guy with this, remember back in the 80s, we're the same ages. Those baseball helmets, the plastic helmets with the two beer cans on the side, and you
Yeah,
had
yeah,
the
yeah.
straw. I remember this guy was fishing on the beach and he was yelling at the couple that was making out into the pier. And the next day, when I found an apartment, I kind of found this house that had a bunch of rooms for rent, and he was one of the tenants there. And I said, "Oh man, I saw you last night." He didn't remember it because he was so hammered, though. But yeah, my parents got jobs out of NASA. I moved around a lot from school to school, and then Coquina Elementary, and in Florida, and saw some kids out there playing on the tires, and they're all black from mud, and because they were big used tractor tires that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
larger than human, they were building castles and stuff. And I watched them for a little while, and I was in a grade higher than them, and I got, I actually met them and stuff during lunch, and so that's how I got into D&D. As I had seen a cartoon, but they pulled out their character sheets with like their stick figure character and their hand drawn shield with their THACO. So
Yeah.
yeah, ever since then, man, I was hooked, and so yeah, since '84, minus a couple years, and a
Yeah.
couple years when EverQuest came out. So
So you're doing some streaming on Twitch. You have the YouTube channel. You also work for Fantasy Grounds. You've been
yeah.
working with Fantasy Grounds for a couple of years now, so you're kind of full time in the industry. What do you do over at Fantasy Grounds?
Yeah, I started with Fantasy Grounds back in late 2017, December. Doug had offered me, because I was, full time digital dungeon master, doing all my pay to play, wearing myself out. And Doug came up to me, and I had known Doug for a while, and he proposed an offer to me, and I took it. I had just a couple years before I graduated from University of Central Florida with a master's degree in history. So I was trying to, get government jobs and stuff. And so, but with no military, it's hard to get into the government now. And, that just kind of fell on my lap, and I took it, and it's the best gig ever, man. I always tell everybody I have the best job. So
I don't know if the benefits are as good as working for the government, but I'm sure it's a
no,
far
definitely
far
not.
more fun and interesting job.
Yes. Yeah, I have not had as much fun. I worked for Walmart for over a decade. I was a store manager and traveled around during the Walmart Supercenter craze, opening up stores left and right. And yeah, that doesn't compare. Yeah, it's definitely the best gig. So.
And what is it you do over there at Fantasy Grounds?
Quite a few things. When I was first brought on, I was the fourth employee for the company, and they didn't have anybody doing support. I knew the program enough to where, Doug said I would be good to do that, answer questions. So I've been doing that, and then as we've grown, company, I think we have 13 or 14 full time employees now. My roles have broadened, and I've taken on more. I've just did my 157th Fantasy Grounds Friday show. All kinds of tutorials, just whatever is needed, I'm there. So
It's the go for this, go for that, but digitally.
yeah, I am the gopher digital DM, and I don't mind it. It's a great gig. Don't have to fight traffic or anything like that. Just work from home,
Which is nice, especially during these times.
mm-hmm.
You had already mentioned it, and we've been talking about it for a while before we got rolling here. You were doing paid DMing for a while and doing pretty well with that.
Yeah, that was probably from 2000, I'd say the end of 2015 to the end of 2017 when I was brought on with Fantasy Grounds. Yeah, I had probably 8 to 10 paid games going, and it was doing really well. But unfortunately, as being a DM, it's a lot of work to do one game, let alone 8 or 10 games when you're, running 3-hour sessions 3 out of 4 weeks a month per game with all of the prep. And when you incorporate online play with all of the fancy maps, all of the tokens, and incorporating all this content, it's a lot of work. And I drowned myself. And, when the opportunity with Fantasy Grounds came along, I said, I've got to do something. It's like I told you when we were talking beforehand, when your son comes up to you and says, "Hey Dad, you look like hell. I think you need to take a break." That kind of means something. So I was doing 8 to 10 games. It was a lot.
That is a lot of games a week. That would definitely eat into your family time for sure.
I'm single. I got no family time. Except for my son.
Well, you have a son, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he moved in with me when he turned 18. So he moved in and he got to see the back of my head for a couple. Oh yeah, big time. He's actually playing D&D now. Yeah. And he played in my first ever D&D game that I streamed, which I had no clue what I was doing. But I think it was because of me being his father. He just didn't want to do it, but he was so much more into, video games, League of Legends and all that stuff. But now he and his friends, he still lives in Florida. I moved to El Paso at the beginning of 2018, and he plays D&D even during the coronavirus epidemic. They're playing with masks and social distancing and stuff. I told him he's crazy, but yeah, now he plays all the time. So I sent him all kinds of stuff and care packages, as I call them.
Yeah. My son was kind of similar. Like wasn't that interested. Then he kind of got interested in playing with like his uncles and stuff. Yeah. And then like now he'll play. Now he's got like his own group that they play online or whatever. And I think they use like Google Meet or something, and I don't know, just the Google programs to run their games through.
Yeah. Like super. What's he think about what you do? What's he think about the whole Nerdarchy thing?
I think conceptually my kids like it. Like I think my daughter, like she's very like social and like I feel like she likes to like brag about it. But then at the same time she'll make fun of us because of what we do. Because of what the content is. But she's like conceptually the idea that I don't have a traditional job.
My son would tell me that I'm playing with dolls all the time, because I love minis and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, you're playing dolls. But now when I send him a 50-pound box of terrain and other minis, unpainted stuff and paint sets, he's like, no problem, Dad, thanks.
Send me more dolls.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what advice do you have for someone that wants to DM professionally?
I'm mixed on this. I want to say don't do it.
Yeah.
But it can be very lucrative. And I'm talking from a financial standpoint to where, if you are a DM that can actually get viewers interested, if you've got players banging on your door to play in your games, you can do that. But it is so much work, and I don't recommend doing it, because once you have that first game, you want to do a second game, and you want to do a third game, and then it gets out of control, and then you're up at 8 to 10 games. You're sleeping about 2 to 3 hours a day. You're trying to keep your head above water, and you will burn yourself out. And that's pretty much what I did. There was a point at the end of, halfway through 2017, I just wanted to ride off into the sunset, because I was just not wanting to. I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm like, well, but when you have contracts and financial obligations, that's a whole different scenario, and you are obligated to do this.
Also, bills to pay.
Yeah. And especially when you're an adult and your years into life like we are, we've got lots of bills.
I feel like it's really attractive for people that do kind of the things that we do, to go that route, to add that that those tiers to their Patreon and be like, we can run games for people, and it is a real easy way to boost your Patreon by like $500 a month per game, right?
Yeah.
But like early on, we looked at Dawnforge Cast, and Andrew was basically doing what you're doing, like 8 to 11 games a week. And I said, I don't want to fucking do that. Like that looks terrible to me. Just as like, I don't have any like moral quandaries about it. I know like some people in the hobby, like they look down on it and they don't like the concept of getting paid to DM. I don't care about any of that. I'm just like, I just think it's a terrible business model that you're just trading your time for money, and 100%. It's a lot of time, and
it is.
It would make me hate gaming, right? And it's just not enough money to appeal to me personally. Now, other people that want to do it, that's great. I know some people like to supplement their income that way, but there's no leverage. Like I make YouTube videos for a reason, because I can sit down, invest the time in making a video, and I can put it on the internet, and that video will then do whatever it's going to do, and I don't have to do anything with it ever again.
And answer some comments once in a while or something.
Yeah. So it's like it's a much, in my opinion, it's just a much better business model. Even like streaming, when I look at that, and nothing against people that stream, and if that's what you enjoy doing, but for me, it's like I see like Twitch to me looks like a hamster wheel, right? And I'm like, if you stop moving, right, that's it. It's like you're done. You're done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when I first started streaming on Twitch, I was the only full-time streamer that was actively going. Besides, there was a Pathfinder group. I think they were called Thursday Nights or something like that, and they only played on Thursday. And there was another Savage Worlds group there called Rob's Game Group, and that was it. And now, on any given night, there's like up to 200 live stream games every night, which is great. I love it. It's good for the hobby. It gives, D&D and RPGs are more popular than ever before. But, I've gotten emails. Hey, Digital DM, you've inspired me so much to create my own channel, and I thank you so much. And what kind of advice can you give me? And you know what I tell them? I actually made a copy paste reply because I would get that so much. And I told him, get ready for a lot of sleepless nights, and get ready for a lot of heartache and a lot of ups and downs. And that's what it's all about, because, most people, when they get into it, they have these visions of grandeur saying, oh, I'm going to make partner in 2 weeks on Twitch, and I'm going to have 50 million views per video. And it doesn't happen like that.
No, it's very, very rare.
Yeah, unless you get extremely lucky.
And it's a lot of work. Yeah, we get that question a lot. Like, I want to do videos about RPGs or D&D on YouTube. What should I do? I'm like, well, you should. Well, here's a bunch of people that teach you how to YouTube. Learn to do that, right? Yeah. They're like, that has nothing to do with gaming. Exactly. Because you're going to do all these things that have nothing to do with gaming. And they're all like their own job, right? When you get into it. Like, when we went out to LA to be on Geek and Sundry for GM tips with Satine Phoenix, I had the opportunity to tour Geek and Sundry, and the Nerdist was there as business. Well. Yeah, well, I'd go into like the different rooms, and like they had like a dozen people doing all these different jobs, right? Except for like when you do this stuff, you're like doing all those jobs yourself.
You're one. I've always said that I'm a one-man operation, but now I have a social media person because I was just non-existent on social media. I did not have any time to do it, and she's bailed me out, and she keeps me in line. She, reminds me of her. DDM has fallen to the wayside for the last 3 years because of my full-time job. But, she has really bailed me out. And, I can't thank Belle enough for that. But one other thing about those folks that would reach out to you in email, oh, you've inspired me. I would always, I would say not every time, but about 75% of the time, I would get a reply back about a month later and say, I'm fixing to get a divorce now. My wife is so mad at me. I don't know how you do this. And they say, I don't know how you do this, digital DM. And they say, I can't do this. And I said, get ready for a lot of sleepless nights. I did try to warn you, but
yeah. Well, I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. But I never really cared about the other things I did as much as I care about gaming and RPGs. So to me, that's what's made it really easy. And in the beginning, when we were doing it, I was working in heavy construction, and I would work nights pretty much all the time. And I would either come home from work and then work on Nerdarchy stuff, or sleep and then work on Nerdarchy stuff. Ted has always worked from home since we've been doing Nerdarchy, so he's always had a pretty flexible schedule, so it's worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. But especially in those first couple of years, there was a lot of work, that, trying to hammer out a blog post, and you could barely keep your eyes open.
No, I get it. I can't tell you how many nights I've slept 2 hours because you have these games. You've got to get these, it's like, I've heard this before. Well, all you do is just turn on a stream button, digital DM. I'm like, you have no clue what it takes. You obviously don't have a clue, because not only do you have to play the game, you've got to make sure all the players are on the same page. You've got to promote this. You've got to do the stream itself. You have to do all of the technical stuff, overlays, make sure everything is set up right. Then you have to post production. You've got to edit everything. You've got to upload it on YouTube. You split your videos up, because I've always cut mine into 30-minute increments, because that's before YouTube had pausing and you can just leave the webpage, come back and pick up where you left off. I've always done 30-minute clips so people at work could do that. Now, I tried to go to the single version, but folks showed up at my doorstep with torches and pitchforks because they love the 30-minute videos. But I've heard that too. All you do is hit a stream button, and that is not the case.
Did you used to run your different groups through the same kind of adventures? Because you're streaming them too, right?
Yeah, I did. I've done pretty much every 5e campaign up to Dragon Heist. And by that time, not only myself, but my players, we were burnt out on 5e, because that's all we played. And when you're doing it for views, and when you're doing it for, numbers, you can't play what you want to play. And when you have pay to play going on, you can't play what you want to play. You have to play what, someone giving you money.
Yeah,
exactly. Have to, and if you want views, and if that's what you're worried about, you have to play 5e, because that's the 800-pound elephant in the room. And, the great games like Savage Worlds and Starfinders, they don't get the notoriety as, the big AAA title does. And, but now I do it for fun, and I play what I want to play. Like Cartman, I do what I want to do now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about balance and moderation too. I'm sure, you could
if you can do that. But if you dive in head first, and if you go full board, you're trying to keep your head above water.
Yeah, and it's a lot too. You got to think about what would you do to make a living at a regular job, right? Most people work 40 plus hours a week. So even if you're running D&D games, it's still kind of the same thing. And anything that you do that much of is going to become work. And at least with what we do, it's some of it's talking on the videos, which we like doing. And it's prepping for the videos, and it's doing stuff with the website. So it's a bunch of different things. So it's not everything revolves around gaming. So I
Yeah.
still want to game and I still love gaming and enjoy it. Hasn't totally killed it where I feel like if I was just streaming games all the time and
It
you
would kill
know
it for you. I promise
running,
it would kill it for you.
yeah,
It would.
like I guess like so. What do I play? I play Saturday mornings, and we usually have a game going Saturday nights, which has been like a mix of D&D and like a different system. And then we're playing. We stream a game on on Tuesdays tonight. Yeah, tonight our Dungeons and Delving game, which we've been rotating out. Like I did Cipher System, and then Ted's
Great
doing.
system. Underrated system.
It's a
Sorry.
lot, yeah, that was a lot of fun. We did like a post-apocalyptic science fantasy
Nice.
mashup of like Flash Gordon meets Thundar the Barbarian meets the year 2020.
Wow. You're
You know,
showing your age there, Dave.
I know, right? So that that was fun, and then afterwards, Doug's going to take over a quest. So it's for us. It's like fun to mix it up, get some other games in there as well.
Yeah. I just have a couple games now. I play in a Sunday game. I'm actually a player. This is the first time I've actually played in years, and we're playing Lost Mine of Fandover. That's fun. I run a Wednesday Pathfinder 2 Extinction Curse, and we're plugging through book 2 right now. And I'm fixing to start an all ladies game with Starfinder. So I don't do the big 4 and 6 hour streams anymore because I can't do it. I'm at 2 hours max, and my Starfinder game is only going to be an hour because I don't have the time, but I can squeak out an hour on my day off to play, and that's what I want to do. But yeah, we're gonna do like starter box set for Starfinder, stuff like that. So, but yeah,
Yeah, our stream game is
fun.
2 hours on the channel. We do 2 hours
Yeah.
for the live games, and I also play in Master of the Game channel. I play a Pathfinder 2. We were playing Plague Stone right now,
Yeah,
which has been fun.
it's a great adventure. Yeah, it's a good adventure. Yeah, I
Oh.
read that one. I wanted to run it, and I've read all these books, but it's just the time.
It is
and
the
I just
time.
don't have it. So no.
What was your favorite 5e adventure to run?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I've ran Lost Men of Fandover 5 times. I think it's a great adventure. I think it's one of the best 5e adventures out there. It's got a great story. It's got great sandbox elements that are optional that you can do. But I also liked. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Storm King's Thunder was probably one of my, because I liked the sandbox elements there.
Yeah.
I did not like Out of the Abyss. I did like part 1 Velkenvelve though. Tyranny of Dragons is okay. Elemental Evil was okay. That was a 16 mega dungeon grinder killing nothing but cultists and kobolds. But the later stuff, I just as a kid I wasn't into Ravenloft. Vampires are cool and everything, but after watching an interview with the vampire, when you're younger, you just think of Ravenloft as like, I don't want to deal with that, even though it's cool stuff. And we did play it back in my basic, Beckme and AD&D days. We did play it, but it wasn't my favorite. So Strahd, I didn't play. Yeah,
that is actually the only official adventure that I've played. Well, I can't say that. So I guess, yeah. So we're running through that now, and I think we're getting closer to the end.
How long is it taking you to get through it? A year
we
or
started.
So?
We started last February with the Frozen Sick. James Onarkasa had written that and was running it for us. And then one of the players, Goblin Katie, was like, I really want to play Curse of Strahd. And so El Henyo, DM Jazzy Hands, said, well, agreed to run it. So as we finished up the Frozen Sick, the mist swept in and the DM switched out.
I got you.
And
good transition point.
Yeah. And those characters went into Ravenloft, and we've been hanging out in Barovia. I'm on my second character so far. The first one met his demise.
Was it? Did he meet his demise by Count Strahd von Zedovich? Or?
No, it was uh, what's the witch's name? It's totally evading my mind right now. I've banished it. Um, Lisa Baba Yaga. Yeah, Baba Yaga. Lisa Baba. It's like Lisa Baba Yaga. Ugh, I can't talk.
Yeah.
Can't say. But yeah, she finger deathed me to death. My human Twilight Domain cleric of Maglubiet, raised by goblins. Uh, and he had spent the whole campaign trying to just convert people to Maglubiet. He kept selling them on the fact that in your afterlife, you're going to spend the rest of eternity in glorious battle against orcs. And he couldn't get any takers until he finally died. And one of the other players, kind of beseeched Maglubiet to return that character to the group, which didn't happen. But they did convert to Maglubiet. So,
I had a TPK once where everybody wanted to do reincarnations.
Oh yeah,
and the
in which
the
edition?
Roles were not generous to them. They were like all halflings and gnomes and
which edition?
That was for 5e. So
okay. In first edition and second edition, like there were some cool reincarnations. Now they're kind of lame. Like they're just a player races. Like because I also had a character get reincarnated in second edition to an ogre magi.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could be reincarnated as like a dragon or an Oni or something. So, but I agree with you. Things have been watered down for D&D 5e, and I think that's one of the reasons why my players wanted to actually take a break from it. Because we did a lot of running in earlier editions and in 5e. It's just it's a very player friendly game. I love the game. I mean, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have played it for 8 solid years. From D&D Next, basically, Dragon Heist. But you can only play something for so many years and then need to take a break. So
it makes sense. I mean, I was able to.
What'd you find?
I pulled up the first edition reincarnation spell, and also depending on whether you're a magic user casting it or a druid casting it, made a huge difference. I mean,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like if you're a druid casting it, you might come back as an owl mage or a raccoon. So.
Well, raccoon would be interesting, so you kind of got the Marvel way with that. So
yeah. I mean, I had lucked out. I got the ogre magi, and
wow,
that was a lot of fun. My DM was generous enough to let me play that for a while as well.
That's good. Is there a treant in there? A treant would be good. That sounds like something a druid would be able to reincarnate to.
I feel like that was one of them. Is it on the list? Let's see. I don't see it.
Pixies, nymphs. Oh boy.
Yeah. Come back as a bear.
Okay.
Bugbear.
You could be the companion. No.
You had some options. But in 5e, I find the list to be a little lame.
Yeah, it's pretty much the races from the core book, basically.
It is. It is.
From what I remember, yeah.
It doesn't even make dying worth it.
Can you die in D&D 5e? I mean,
well, we did. Well, one, I just had a character that did die.
You can, yeah.
But also early on, like Ted was running before we had the books. We just had the player's handbook, and we were like second level, I think. And one of the characters got killed by an orc. They dropped him, and he found his first death save, second death save, rolled in that one. That was it.
That's the TPKs that I've had. Well, not TPKs, but deaths is rolling the one on your death saving throws. I had, I need to highlight this video. I need to make a video just of this. But one of my players was from Sweden. He was so confident, and he rolled a fail. It was like a low roll. And then he's like, because I was like, all right, I'm going through the round and I'm thinking, all right, nobody's getting over there to save him, but he's telling everybody, oh, I'm okay, guys. You guys just take out the rest of. And this
Yeah.
is in the Cragmaw Cave where Canard was, and the other goblins. And so he's like, I got it. And then when it comes to his turn, auto won. I was like, and then he just took his headset, and it was live on stream. He threw it, knocked a bunch of stuff off of his shelf, started saying a bunch of stuff in English and Sweden. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He rage quit.
He did. He pretty much, no, but he did. He took probably about 10 minutes off, but I did resurrect him, and I had a sort of like an NPC that I would bring in once in a while, sort of like Q from Star Trek. And he gave him a raise. He gave me a resurrection, but he owed him. So I would torment him from time to time when he owed, my Q type of character. So, yeah.
Do you feel obligated?
Somebody took one of my characters and put it in an AL module.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no joke. So I'm wondering, hey, that's mine. That's my NPC. Why is my NPC in? But it was, I guess, one of my viewers actually, got contracted to write an AL, and he said, "Surprise! I put your NPC in there." I'm like, surprise, I just lost all rights to that, probably. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're gonna have to sue Wizards of the Coast. Going down, Hasbro.
No, never. No, I thought it was pretty funny when he told me that. So, but yeah.
So you're taking a break from D&D. What are you playing now?
Yeah, I've taken my New Year's resolution last year in 2020 was no D&D 5e for at least probably 2, 3, maybe 4 years. And I've been playing, as you can see, I'm a big Starfinder fan, Pathfinder 2, playing basic D&D. There's all the basic D&D stuff. So that's what I've been playing. Yeah. Savage Worlds as well. So
wasn't there supposed to be like a 5e, like G.I. Joe and like some of the Hasbro properties?
I thought I saw something about that somewhere. I didn't know
saw
if it was
a blip and then like
gimmick.
Nothing.
Yeah, was it a gimmick or was it a joke? But I mean, honestly, if Wizards would do more settings besides just 5e, I think it would be really successful for them. And I was like, hey, that's actually kind of a good idea. Because you have some optional modern weaponry stuff in the DMG, but if you really expand on it with G.I. Joe, with tanks and Cobra,
G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, Transformers, also I think Power Rangers.
Is that for real? I think Hasbro owns all those IPs, don't they?
Yeah. Hey, so I see a post up on N-World, and there was something else, but it's like it's kind of weird because I saw it when it kind of like came out and it was announced, right, in Forbes, but then I haven't heard anything about it at all since. So I don't know
if it was
it's
a joke.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke because you can't trust everything you see on the internet. So.
Are you sure? That is, I mean, there's a couple of things here that they're saying it was all around October 2020 that came out. I don't know. We'll see. But it is weird because I haven't heard anything else about it. But I didn't think it was a joke. I thought it was a thing that they're working on for this year.
Yeah. Well, that would be great. I would like to see Transformers and G.I. Joe. I don't think I'd be all into My Little Pony, but I would definitely be willing to check out. Yeah. I would definitely check out G.I. Joe and Transformers. That's for sure.
I wanted to run a Transformer campaign using mutants and masterminds. The system is it is kind of designed to support it fairly easily. But I couldn't get my group on board. they weren't having it. They didn't want to. They didn't want to save Cybertron. I don't get it.
Yeah, playing that superhero kind of stuff, it takes a niche type of player to play that. And it's like you were saying, if your players aren't on board with you, then the game is not gonna it's not gonna gel. So I tried to do that with Starfinder when it came out. I tried to take all 5e grognards and I tried to force Starfinder down their throat, and it was the worst experience I ever had being a DM.
Yeah.
So
We played a bunch of super games. Like we played like 4E for like a year and a half, and then
love 4e.
Yeah, and then from 4E we started playing. Someone was running a supers game. They were running not Champions, Heroes Unlimited, and I just didn't like the system, and so I started poking around for a different supers game, and it's like Champions came up and Mutants and Masterminds came up, and I was like, well, my group already plays D20, so like I'll go with that. That'll probably be easier. So like we started playing fantasy, urban fantasy, supers. So we were playing like everything using Mutants and Masterminds for a while, and we didn't even realize that they were doing 5e. To be honest with you, we had just kind of like moved on from D&D to that system, and it was just very versatile, and it was easy to play different types of games. And
that's what I like about Savage Worlds, because it's once you learn the core mechanics of it, you could play any genre, Deadlands, or you could play Hellfrost or Spirit of 76 or whatever you want to play. That's the great thing about it.
So what are you currently playing like right now?
Just Pathfinder 2. I'm running Extinction Curse. Is
that streamed or private?
Yeah, it's streamed on my digital DM channel. So yeah, that's the only game that I'm running that I'm streaming. But I am streaming the other game that I'm playing into. So, but I'm looking forward to starting that Starfinder game. That's going to be fun, because I've when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of female players, and there was a girl that wanted to play with us back in elementary school, but she couldn't because she knew that because she was in with the girl clique, right? And she told us that if she started playing with us, she would, be out of the clique. So, but yeah, because she would watch us. She would watch us pass notes, because we all sat right next to each other in the back. So we would just pass notes all day. What do you do on your turn? What do you do on your turn? Roll. You get your jacket out so you can't hear the dice rolling, and roll on your jacket. And she watched us, and she knew what we were doing, but she couldn't play. But and I've had a few female players throughout the years that I've been doing this on Twitch and stuff, and every one of them has played a rogue. Every one of them has been a murder hobo. So because I just want to see what I think it would be fun to have an all-female cast. They're all going to cosplay it. They're alien races that they're playing and stuff. So I think that's going to be fun. We're going to be playing that like an hour a week. So, but I'm looking forward to doing that. So
that is a short session.
It is. It's like you get going and you got to stop. But, it's either I do that or I don't get to play Pathfinder at all, but, or Starfinder. So I'm hoping that it will evolve over time to where if I can manage it, I can expand it to, up to 2 hours. So
2 hours is nice. I think like 3-4 players with 2 hours works really well.
Yeah, I think you start losing your players after a couple of hours. You'll start seeing the reflection of their World of Warcraft startup login screen on their glasses and stuff. You'll start seeing that pop up after the 2 hour mark. So that's why I don't do this 4 and 6 hour sessions anymore.
Well, also too, like if you're streaming on Twitch, or YouTube, it doesn't actually matter where you're streaming. It's like at the 2 hour mark, it always drops. So like there's like literally like if you're a streamer and you're into streaming, there is literally no reason to go to hour 3. Because it just seems like
it's cut you off.
It's like a cliff, right? Once you hit the hour 2, boom. And so like you're better off just streaming for 2 hours anyway.
Yeah, I've even thought about just not even streaming it or doing it here on YouTube or just recording it locally because now that Corona's going on, the epidemic's going on, the internet is not what it was a year ago. And I mean, from a quality standpoint, it is, but the internet seems to be going down all the time. I never had any issues prior to COVID, but now all the time, depending on the time of day. And I have a really nice internet, 1,000 down and 100 up, and I still get disconnects all the time. So, so many people on. It's so many people on the network. So
that's true.
You're right.
Even in just in my house, there's all these people in my house that are on my internet. That's like been the biggest.
Watching a movie, Dad?
Yeah, that's been the biggest change for me with the pandemic. Is like now, like my kids and wife are here all the time; they never leave. So,
oh yeah,
so I've been working.
Don't have that problem.
I've been working from home for I don't know. I guess like we're in year 7 of Nerdarchy because I guess 5e started in 20. We started in 2014.
Yeah,
this will be the 7th year, and probably like 3 years in, I went full time. So it's like 3 years, I guess.
Yeah.
You've been.
So were you getting a lot of flack from your family at first, and all that sweat equity, I guess you could call it?
No, not really. I mean, I've been I'm really lucky. Like my wife has been really good with like that. Like I said, I've always kind of been an entrepreneur. So like I've always had different side hustles and different things that I've tried doing, most of which didn't work. This is like the thing that worked the best. Right.
Yeah. You love doing it. Yeah.
So like that was like a huge shift when she saw like that we're having success and, we were making money and growing a business. That really like changed a lot. Like, and then that goes for like pretty much anything, right? Like,
yeah,
if you want to get, the people in your life on board, show them money from doing it. And all of a sudden it changes the conversation 100%. Like I used to be pretty like embarrassed about talking about gaming and D&D. And, I always kept that stuff kind of on the DL, would never talk about it, especially like I always worked in and around construction. So definitely not cool.
Yeah.
But once I started,
the conversations are chicks and you're talking about D&D and armor classes and they're like, what?
Yeah. So like once I started making money doing it, it was like different and people respect it and you a lot more when they're like, wait a minute, this thing you like doing, you get paid to do. Yeah. That totally changes the discussion.
Yeah, my son's mother, she, that all those containers up there, that is the entire Beckme series, every single book. And, when we were together, she's wanting to sell those. And so I took them down and I'm like, all right, we got a kid on the way, and they were going to give me like $1 a book for those. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to sell those 150 books and my box sets and the board games and everything else for $1 or $2 a piece. And I'm not going to have anything after buying 2 cans of formula and a bag of diapers. There's no way. So I just sealed all that stuff up in comic book boxes and forgot about it for like 25 years. So yeah. No way.
So did you leave the hobby and come back?
No, I had always been in it. But I took a couple breaks. One from about 15 to 18, I took a break because I was introduced into life at an early age. And then around, let's say when EverQuest came out, I took another, all of my friends were like, we don't have to roll dice anymore. This is so awesome. And so I took a couple year break from that and came back and have not left. I just love it too much.
I never got into MMOs. Like not even a little bit. Like the closest was like I played here City of Heroes for a little bit. And then
that was a cool game.
For a weekend. One weekend I played it, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized how much time I spent playing, and I said, "Oh fuck no, this is not going to work at all."
Yeah.
I'm like, it's 5 a.m. and I'm still playing this game. I will do
Yep.
nothing else. This is not happening. So
Yep. Oh, I remember several times looking over. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. I got to be to work in an hour.
yeah.
So that was an interesting several years of nothing
So
but
I
no
was like, yeah,
sleep.
we're not doing this. Now, for a while I was playing like League of Legends, and I kind of like that because I could play like a game and be done.
Yeah, get in and get out. That's why I like Diablo. I love
Yeah.
action RPGs. That's what I play. If I play, that's what I play.
And
Grim
but
Dawn,
even like growing up,
stuff like
like
that.
I wasn't really into like the RPGs. Like, I mean, the closest that I got to RPG would be like the original like Zelda, and that didn't
Yeah,
feel like an RPG. It still felt like an action game kind of. So
yeah.
I enjoyed that, but like I love things like Alter Beast and Contra, Ghosts and Goblins, and
Oh, Ghosts and Goblins,
Kung
one of my
Fu,
favorites. Yeah,
and
Hamburger Time,
and then
Burger
also
Time.
like yeah, um, me and my friends all getting high and playing like Street Fighter and stuff like that, and then like my little brother would come in, which was much younger than us, and then like whoop all of our asses. So
My son did the same thing when he was about
mm,
4 to 5 years old with that was the last console and was a Nintendo was it Nintendo 64 with GoldenEye where it would split the screen up into four and you go around
yeah.
and just shoot each other and he's just destroying us. We're like, get out of here, kid. You gotta go.
You've been
Uh,
banned. This is daddy's time now.
yeah. Well, he has all the spawn points memorized, when they're going to spawn. He's
Yeah.
playing the little odd job guy where you couldn't target him. It was insane. I'm gonna choke a kid out when
That's
he
great.
beats you 15 times.
You're about to get grounded, boy.
Yeah. So what's your favorite system? What's your favorite system that you played throughout the years? Kind of
Yeah.
reversing the role on you.
Yeah. We always come back to D&D, man. We always come back to
Yeah.
D&D. And 5e is my favorite version of the game.
Yeah.
I think it like hits all the right spots from everything that I like from the previous editions.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like the way it's set up for players. I wish there was a little bit more variety for players, but the numbers are set to where they're it's a low numbers game. It's not like
Yeah.
3.5. It's not like fourth edition. So I can see why it's not. But I always go back to D&D also, man. It's because I know I'm going to go back to D&D. I'm just taking a break.
There's
But
nothing wrong with
I'll
that.
be back. No, you got to take a break every once in a while.
So you mentioned Savage Worlds. What's your favorite game to play in Savage Worlds?
Once you know how to play it, you're set. You can play anything. Pinnacle Entertainment has, Shane and Clint and Jody, and they've came out with so many great settings. Triple Ace Games is a bunch. I'd have to say my favorite though. Oh man, gonna put me on the spot. I got two, and they are Hellfrost, which is the fantasy setting, and I also like Deadlands. Those are the two. But we're fixing to play the After. All the guys on the Fantasy Grounds crew, Josh is gonna start running us through the After, which is a new Savage World setting that we just had come out with Fantasy Grounds. So we're gonna draw that. It's a post-apocalyptic type of.
It sounds
setting.
Post-apocalyptic. That was going to be my guess.
Yeah.
You have a favorite genre?
Oh, fantasy, without a doubt. But I'll tell you what. Now that I'm getting older,
Yeah.
I'm starting to kind of move towards sci-fi. I don't understand why. Maybe it's just because it's all I've played for 30 years of games for the most part, minus some Star Frontiers and stuff as a kid. But I find myself reading more about the lore of Starfinder, Traveler 2, and other sci-fi games. But I mean, I'm all about Pathfinder 2, but I think I'm kind of leaning more towards sci-fi.
I get that. Like I started adding way more like weird elements into my fantasy games over the years. After I hit a certain point, I was like, I've been doing fantasy for like 20 years, and then I started like branching out with like even in my reading, right? Because even my reading was all fantasy, and it's like, yeah, I want more like urban fantasy, steampunk, weird, more weird stuff to mix it up.
I'm with you on that. It's like when I was a kid, my dad got me into The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, right? And I was just totally hooked. I love the world of Tolkien. I even took college classes, Tolkienology classes, working on my undergraduates. And my dad he was a big Star Trek fan. And, the original, Captain Kirk and, monsters made out of trash cans and stuff. And I just didn't get it. I just didn't really like it. But as I got older, probably in my middle 20s, early 30s, I started watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was on TV, and it's just becoming more and more and more. And you mentioned The Expanse. That's actually a pretty good series.
Oh yeah, Expanse is a phenomenal series. It's weird too. Like I think the reason I started watching it was because they made an RPG about it.
That was Fantasy Age, right?
Yeah, that's the age system.
Yeah,
it's that's kind of got like a weird thing. It's like these guys took this game, and I think it was like GURPS or something they used to play, and they wrote books about these games they used to play, and then now these books became their own game and its own, its own series on Netflix, or not Netflix, Amazon, which has been really good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, talking about The Expanse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get into season 1, but after season 1, it really ramped up, and
it's that's good. What Ted said too. He's like, season 1 there was like too much going on for him. Like you got to go through the whole season to figure out who the characters are, right? Who the cast is.
Yeah.
And then
I was stopped watching after the first episode. I was like, oh man,
But I mean, once you get there, and I guess it didn't bother me that much. Like I just enjoyed it as a whole. And then, once they started really settling in on the characters, it got really good. And like, I felt like the characters, they said so much depth and growth throughout the series.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they won't do what, The Walking Dead had done and kill off the great characters, and Game of Thrones killing off characters. But
well, they definitely killed off one of the characters, which I won't say who, just in case people are caught up, which I was kind of upset with. But that had more to do with the actor than the character and the story.
Wanted more money, probably.
No, I think they're just a trash human being. So they got fired. So they murdered the character, and I was like, and in like one of the like most mundane ways too. So
sort of like Charlie Sheen getting hit by a bus, getting run over by a bus on 2.5 Men or whatever it was. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, pretty much along those lines. So we're up on the hour mark. Final thoughts before we head on out?
If you're really thinking about getting into streaming, think long and hard on it and prepare for a lot of sleep. And I'm out dropping the mic.
Yeah. You said prepare for a lot of sleep, but I think you meant prepare not to sleep.
Prepare for a lot of sleepless nights is what I meant to say.
Sleep is for the weak.
To butcher the English language.
Sleep is for the weak anyway. Yeah, it was, man. Thanks for coming on, Dave.
Finally got on after 232 episodes. Holy cow.
We'll have you back on in another 200. With that, until next time, folks, stay nerdy.
Thanks, everybody.